Lovely. This is me emphasizing on everyone who's listening to this podcast. Please go read the chapter 6 because it's really both of our authors.
We had two disagreements as authors in the book, and Tammy, I'm sure, remembers both.
Actually, something that isn't in the book is something that actually John has never even heard this from me before. So brace yourself. What does it mean? What does strategic payroll mean? We've heard strategic payroll, and people are going, well, what does that mean? Like, how do I do that? And so I think we do provide a good framework for people to understand what that means and how to do it.
If you're in payroll, I hope you read that book and you feel like I'm a badass. What I do matters. The work that I do is important, and I can add strategic value into my business. I can be as important as anyone else inside of this company.
What do you think about AI in payroll?
What's AI? I never heard of it before.
Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Nancy, and welcome back to the Payroll Powerlist by me, Amo, where we explore the people, ideas, and innovation shaping the future of payroll. So today, I'm joined by two well-known voices in the payroll community, Tammy and John, the co-authors of Payroll Like a Boss. Welcome to the show, John and Tammy. It's a privilege having y'all both.
Thank you, Nancy. Thanks for inviting us. It's exciting.
What a delight to spend the time with you both and talk about payroll and doing it in an amazingly awesome way. Is there any better thing for us to do on a beautiful day like today?
Nothing like it. Before we dive into the book itself, I'd like to, start with the story behind it. Let's say for listeners who may not know your journeys, tell us a little about yourself and how your paths crossed. What brought the two of you together, and at what point you both decide to turn your combined experience and perspective into a book?
I'll start the story and I'll let John end it because he tells the story of the book really well. I have been in payroll for over 30 years, and about 12, 13 years ago, I had a job in a payroll department that I really, really loved, but unfortunately we were subject to outsourcing. And at that time, I already knew John because John and I were both active with the Cleveland chapter of, at the time, the American Payroll Association. And so I had known him for a while. And John found out that I was being outsourced from my position and brought me on at Willery. And I've been here for over 11 years now.
In the midst of all that, Nancy, we definitely, Tammy and I, create a bond with each other for sure. Just like-minded, and she really stood out at those payroll organization that I met with because she was so incredibly personable. Not that payroll professionals are not personable. She just had taken such a large leadership role, and it was so important to her. I could see that. And having gotten to know her over that 11-year stretch, we've had a lot of intimate discussions. We've had some unique things happen to us almost simultaneously. Her and I both lost our parents in a compressed period of time right in and around COVID. And I then started writing my book, HR Like a Boss. And then Tammy was confiding in me in some of her desires to do thought leadership and put herself out there to grow and expand her network. And then she had this epiphany while she was meditating that she had to write a book. And then I get a text from her, Nancy, that says, "We need to talk." And I said, "Oh no, my best support is going to quit." And it turned out that conversation went from, "I want to do this. It includes me writing a book. Will you help me?" I said yes. And then the next thing I know, she closes me on calling it Payroll Like a Boss. And then a year and a half later, we're launching the book at a large PayCon conference, which was crazy, where we met up with your colleagues. And all of a sudden, Payroll Like a Boss became one of the hottest things that's ever hit payroll in 2026, if not up until that point. It's been a real blessing and a treasure to have time with Tammy, to not only get to know her personally, but also to see her intimate knowledge and passion for the payroll profession.
Well, first of all, I am sorry that you both had to lose your parents. I know it's a really, really dark place to come from. But second of all, your journey together is really beautiful. Now I know why the name Payroll Like a Boss, because I've always wondered why Payroll Like a Boss is the title. So that's a new, the place of birth for the title. That's really lovely to know about that. Was there a specific moment when you felt the payroll profession needs this conversation, compiling all your ideas, your perspectives, your expertise, your intelligence, your thought process into a book, and say that, I'm really sure that this payroll profession needs this?
Yeah. So one of the things that I talk about in the book that is actually almost a little embarrassing for me is that it took me so long to have the right mindset, the mindset that we have in the book. And it wasn't that I didn't do my job well. I did, because I don't want to, not do my job well, but I just didn't have that mindset about payroll being a profession. And I knew that payroll professionals were very undervalued. And in the meantime, I had really limited, I thought I had a great network, but I had limited my network to those I know here in Ohio. And I thought it was time for me to expand my network. And once I did that, and I started listening to different podcasts and started meeting a lot of payroll influencers, and I realized, wow, this isn't just something that I've identified. This is a big problem in the payroll profession. And it was nice to know that other people felt the same way, and other people felt as passionately about elevating the profession for what it truly is.
Yeah, no, I know Tammy talks about that quite a bit in the book. And I'd say the one thing that stood out to me, Nancy, other than just watching Tammy's journey and the intimacy that she shared about how, and I thought for so long, she was this incredibly passionate, caring payroll professional, which she was, but deep down inside of her, she had this, is this really who I am? Is this really the profession I want to be in? And then she says something that really inspired me. She said, I'm as much of the problem as to where the payroll profession is because of my general attitude toward the profession. And if I'm part of the problem, I need to be part of the solution. And that's where all this Payroll Like a Boss stuff came to, really the genesis of it. And for me, seeing that from Tammy was really cool, and I admired her. But the data point that hit me the most was when we started talking to PayOrg and previously APA, and just seeing the numbers of people that are aging out of and retiring from the payroll profession, and the new generations are not coming into the profession at the clip that we needed to. And I see this, we talk about the payroll cliff in the book. I see this massive disconnect between what the labor market has as far as quantity and numbers of people by demographics and age, and what I think general business and the economy needs in the world for us to properly pay people, because payroll is not as simple as pressing that easy button. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort. And I have this belief that payroll professionals have created their own problem because they work so hard, they're so tireless about it, they make something that's not easy look easy, and everybody just assumes they're going to get paid. And there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that we don't believe enough of the general population appreciates. They certainly love their paycheck, that we know, but they don't know all that goes into doing it in a timely and accurate manner, which is really what the book is all about. How can we build that foundation of success consistently while going beyond the things that most people think about in payroll, whether that be leveraging technology, whether it be improving service levels, whether it be involved in acquisition or merger discussions, or helping managers drive down their labor costs. There's a lot of things that payroll professionals can do to become better leaders, and that's what the book is all about.
That's really lovely. Well, I'm a reader myself. So whenever I read a book, okay, so there's always this question of why did this author, write this particular book or this particular genre, okay? So, and I always feel that there is a gap to fill, and even the author is visible of that gap, and they would like to bridge that gap by this particular book or this particular chapter. So, which left me curious, wondering what gap were you hoping that Payroll Like a Boss would fill for payroll professionals as well as leaders?
I wish I could get every business leader out there to read this book, because I feel like leadership does not understand the true impact that payroll has on their business. They see the numbers and they know the impact of the numbers on their bottom line, but I don't think that they recognize the value that payroll can bring to their business and the insights. And so while I know that I'm not going to get my wish, one of the things that I'm hoping for, because we talk a lot in the book about it's up to us as payroll professionals to show our value, to prove it, to be brave and let people know this is what value we bring to your business. And so I am hoping that it may inspire some payroll professionals to take that step to really show their leadership team the value that they bring.
Yeah, the value coming through what Tammy has coined the most important phrase in the book is being brave. This idea of bravery and belief and confidence in yourself. I believe in my heart that we in payroll professionals have been relegated to this back office administrative task. And many of the payroll professionals that are in payroll did not select payroll. It picked them. They've been unwillingly here or begrudgingly or kind of lukewarm to the profession for whatever the reason is. And I truly feel like payroll professionals have quietly done their job so well that they don't want to be recognized. They don't want their voice to be heard, because when it is, that means there's a problem. When payroll professionals hear from someone, it usually means my paycheck got screwed up, not, hey, you did a great job, or hey, can we have this strategic conversation? And we're hoping that the book creates a framework for building out that level of confidence and belief in the impact that payroll can have on a business, on employees, and on, most importantly, the individual people that are doing it every single day. We want to celebrate it. We want to love it. We want to bring it the dap that it deserves. And while we do that, we think we can really improve employee engagement. We can drive better processes for the way that our employees experience work. And at the same time, we can drive down costs. We can be more diligent and knowledgeable on the most expensive part of running a business for most managers is their labor cost. And who knows the labor cost better than a payroll professional? I don't know. And that's where we're hoping that this gap exists, of this brave confidence that allows them to step out of this back office relegated position to something of a strategic partner for the entire organization.
Was there any hardest chapter or, let's say, idea when jot down? Well, I know payroll is highly technical, but let's not go there, not the technical part.
Right.
But the one where you kept, let's say, going back and forth, revisiting the chapters, revisiting the paragraphs that you both wrote, or was there any real tension about, how to frame this, how to put it out right?
I think John is going to be surprised at my answer on this, because I know his answer is probably a little different than mine. I would say one of the hardest chapters for me personally, and it was because of my personal bias, and I realized that after a while, is there is a chapter that John wrote on outsourcing. And I've received negative consequences due to outsourcing, although we could look at it like, no, it was really positive consequences, because then John gave me a job. So I think that was a really hard concept for me, but also because I think payroll professionals in general hear outsourcing and they're like, what? No, why would somebody want to outsource us? And when I realized that where John was coming from on this, he wasn't suggesting that people just out and out outsource their own jobs. Although sometimes, that needs to be looked at, but it's a good business decision. It's a strategic decision when you look at the parts of your payroll process, like tax deposits and filing. As far as I'm concerned, those should always be outsourced. So, when you look at those different pieces, parts, and make a decision, do we have the internal expertise? Do we have the technology that we need? The answer is no. Well, would it be, more cost effective for us to outsource this piece of our process? That was the hardest chapter for me.
And I'd say Tammy and I had two debates. And if you can't tell, Nancy, because I always want to give Tammy the floor first to share her wisdom and insight. She brings the payroll expertise and is the star of the show. I'm just here to make sure that I fill in the blanks and put the cherry on top of the sundae. But we had two disagreements as authors in the book, and Tammy, I'm sure, remembers both. One was on outsourcing, because I was adamant to what she just shared, that it's not necessarily that I think we should outsource all payroll functions. That was not the point. It was the point that payroll professionals should be aware of what should be outsourced, because who knows it better than them? It's kind of like, hey, I need you to take care of my yard, but I don't know my yard that well. Yeah, you know your yard better than anybody else, so show me the way that I'm supposed to take care of it, or where you want this particular plan, or whatever the case is. That's number one. Secondarily, we had a debate about the Payroll Like a Boss operating system. I wanted to build a framework as to how to structure your department, and it was elaborate. There's almost 10 main elements to that business strategy, and there are a couple of really great thought leaders out there, people that we've referenced in the book, people that wrote our foreword. And Tammy and I had a debate about, I really wanted it to be ours. I wanted it to be our operating system, and we could learn from other people, we could reference them, but we ultimately came back. I felt like I won that discussion, is how I would describe, because I got my way, which I sound like a little 3-year-old kid. But at the end of the day, I wanted to be it was Payroll Like a Boss, and the Payroll Like a Boss operating system. And Tammy and I came to align on that. I think it was it took a while. I was patient, probably annoyed by me of being so persistent, but we landed in a place that I think has been very well received by the community. All 5-star ratings, the #1 new release, a bestseller. It's hard to believe. I pinch myself that we did that. It's crazy.
Well, a big congratulations to both of you all.
Thank you.
Well, we've covered the hardest part. Now let's come to the positive side. Was there a chapter or topic that was particularly personal for both of y'all? Let's begin with Dan.
Well, I would say, since chapter 6 is my payroll story, that would be the one that was the most personal to me. Mm-hmm. But I mean, again, I can't say that. Again, the outsourcing chapter, I brought my personal bias to that one, and so that one was a little personal to me too. But I think there's elements in each chapter that are really very personal, right? So things that, for me, that I've experienced before or I've felt before. And so, aside from chapter 6 being the obvious one, I really think the entire book has some elements that are personal to me.
And it's going to sound, I don't know, maybe lame, whatever. I'm just going to share it because that's how I feel. The transition for an author, and I'm just speaking kind of in the first person, in the sense that I wrote my first book. I created most of my content. I did a lot of my presentations, and not the vast majority of them, by myself. And now all of a sudden I'm doing them with someone else. And I didn't realize, and Tammy probably hasn't heard me say this before, I didn't realize the transition that was, and the release and the difference. It just was different because I had to get someone else's opinion. And luckily, Tammy and I are aligned on the vast majority of things, and there wasn't a lot of push-pull. I never went and slammed the computer down, was mad at Tammy because we didn't agree on something. Just, we were having healthy debate and trying to write the best book possible. It was that part was unique. It was easier and harder in a sense, in that we got to split up the book in the beginning, and she wrote 11 of the chapters and I wrote 11, and then she put her slant on mine, I put my slant on hers. but then rereading it and going over it again, trying to make sure it was a unified voice was a challenge for me. And when I say those things, you're thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, I thought we asked them something that was good. That was glorious for me. It was glorious for me to release all of the control of a book and do it in tandem and partnership with someone that ended up caring about it just as much, if not more, than I did. And I didn't really think that was possible in the beginning. And the fact that it turned out that way and how much the payroll community has responded to it has just been really, really fantastic. And I would say my favorite chapter is the one that Tammy referenced, is chapter 6. I sent her a text 2 months ago crying in an airport after reading it on an airplane. I literally flying over mountains, crying my eyes out, reading her story. And I had read it 5 or 6 times before that, Nancy. That time hit me in such a unique place. And I was just so thankful to showcase Tammy. I've gotten my glory with HR Like a Boss. This was her turn. And I've tried my best to kind of get out of the way and just support the heck out of her, because she emulates what great payroll professionals look like. And in my opinion, should be delivering the payroll and HR and benefits and whatever the case is that payroll professionals have responsibilities for. She sets the standard, and I wanted her to get the glory.
Lovely. This is me emphasizing on everyone who's listening to this podcast. Please go read the chapter 6, because it's really personal, both of our authors. My next question leaves me wondering, you can always beg to differ. Every book has something that almost didn't make the final version. Was there a lesson, a chapter, or even a perspective you debated including?
I don't think so, other than the outsourcing. I don't think so. For me, actually, something that isn't in the book is something that actually John has never even heard this from me before. So brace yourself. Has actually inspired me to possibly write another book. And the reason is because I think it's chapter 20 is Make an Impact. And we talk about other payroll professionals and the impact that they've made on people. And while interviewing these payroll professionals, including my own mentor, who I've known for, 20 plus years, I did not know her entire story. And when I started gathering the stories from these people, I thought, these are really great stories. And while we focused on the impact that they've made on others or to the profession, I thought, wouldn't it be really cool to write a book that's kind of like a Chicken Soup for the Soul book, but it is about different payroll professionals and their story and the example that they've set for other payroll professionals on their journey.
So the primary thing that I thought of after the fact of reading it and seeing Tammy's perspective of it, and also getting I'll call it positively visceral interest from the payroll community, is this idea, this perception of perfection in payroll. This idea that we're so focused on making sure that we pay people in an accurate and timely manner that I think sometimes we spend too much time processing payroll and don't have enough extra time to do the things that will impact the business and the employees. Now, again, don't get me wrong, we have to pay people accurately and timely. I'm not dismissing that in any way, shape, or form, but I feel like, having talked to a lot of payroll professionals now, especially with the launch of the book, how they're so hyper-focused in that element of perfection, that I think there's another blog or maybe a book that Tammy or I could work on in regards to the perception of perfection. And how is that good for payroll? I don't think it is, because I think it limits us. If you think of yourself trying to do something perfectly, you overthink it, you overdo it, you reread it multiple times. And then even when you press submit, you're like, I still don't feel like it's right. Oh, shoot. And then your mind is consumed. You don't have any other time to do anything else, whether it's take a walk outside or do something with your work. I think we're too consumed by that perfection. And that would be something I'd like to reference or talk about in a future communication, blog, collaboration, content piece.
Perfect.
I think especially if you follow some of the other concepts that we talk about, you don't actually have to focus so much on perfection, right? If you have the right controls in place, then you don't have to focus on being so perfect because you've got controls and validations in place that will help you with that. The problem is it's like a chicken and egg type of thing where people are so busy right now. And, I say so many payroll professionals are in constant firefighting mode. They don't have time to look at their processes and review them. And so it's very difficult, but it's something that has to be done because ultimately, if they start, updating their technology, understanding their technology, updating their processes, putting controls in place, that is eventually going to help them.
Beautifully put, actually. Let's say if someone reads Payroll Like a Boss this weekend, okay, what would the 3 biggest lessons they'll actually walk away with?
3 biggest lessons.
I mean, feel free to add more, but I'd like to know the first 3.
Yeah. I think number 1 for me is the whole bravery concept. There are a lot of amazing qualities in payroll professionals that are never showcased because nobody expects them to be that way. So that to me is really important. Like I said, we can't sit around and wait for somebody to invite us to the table. We can't wait for somebody to ask us for our opinion. We're going to have to find a way in there to, to show people what we know and what we can do. And the second thing is, what does it mean? What does strategic payroll mean? We've heard strategic payroll, and people are going, well, what does that mean? Like, how do I do that? And so I think we do provide a good framework for people to understand what that means and how to do it.
She said 2. I'm going to end with a 3rd. We'll do this just like great co-authors. We'll finish each other's sentences, literally and figuratively, which is kind of silly to say. I would say this, and I end the keynote with this general inspiring set of words, I hope, is I don't care what others think about payroll. I don't care what the general population feels like it. Your CFO, your CEO, some guy or gal working in your purchasing department. If you're in payroll, I hope you read that book and you feel like I'm a badass. What I do matters. The work that I do is important, and I can add strategic value into my business. I can be as important as anyone else inside of this company, even more important. This general belief coming from bravery, coming from having a process to what does strategic payroll mean? Well, we give you a framework for it in the book. It doesn't mean everything we say is right. Go make your own strategic framework for payroll. Just maybe use the ideas as a springboard to your own, but do the best work you possibly can. Be the best possible version of yourself. Be the best human being in the spirit of becoming the greatest payroll professional you're capable of being. And we want to celebrate the profession. We want people to feel like you're doing it like a boss, which doesn't mean you're the jerk CEO that mistreats people. You do it with confidence. Your chin's held high, your chest is out, you're whistling while you're processing payroll, that kind of stuff, that feeling, that fever, that love. And I saw it transition for Tammy. I saw it before and after of when she found her true purpose and passion in payroll, and she's a different human being. I can see it myself. And I think that there's a lot to be said for when you find something you love to do and you see the value of it and you're great at it. Let's be great payroll professionals in more than just accurate and timely payroll.
Lovely one, John. Quite obsession, but a very strong one, though. Moving on to the surprise element, what surprised you most while writing the book? Somewhere it could be like, as Tammy, you told that you've heard a lot of stories from people while writing. Was it the stories? Was it the feedback? Or was it as simple as, the industry trends? Or was it like any leadership challenges or anything that really surprised you both while writing the book?
I should not be surprised about this because I know the payroll community and I know how accepting and they are. But I was surprised at the reception of Payroll Like a Boss. It was amazing. And the people that came up to us after our presentations, and part of the presentation, I tell an abbreviated version of my story, and people who came up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, like I so related to that story." And like I said, it shouldn't surprise me, but it did. And John can back me up on this. We spent in a 3-week period, we were at 2 different conferences and there was a lot going on and it was so overwhelming. Especially at Payroll Congress, in the past, I was used to going to Payroll Congress by myself as an attendee, maybe meeting up with some friends that I know there, but this year was completely different. We were in the exhibit hall, people were buying books, we were speaking, and it was just a very overwhelming experience.
Tammy got her flowers. She deserved it. She definitely put the work in, and I forewarned you. I'm pretty sure I did that was going to be coming, but I think it was still a surprise for her to feel that amount of fandom. Yeah, amount of fandom. People wanting your autograph. That's a whole nother surreal thing. Taking pictures with you. It's almost like celebrity in some strange way. I would echo what Tammy said. I'm shocked at the amount of support, love, and admiration, the selflessness, anything anybody could do to help us. I mean, I cannot tell you how many people at very high levels inside of the payroll community have stepped out and stood up and supported us, either through offering speaking engagements, whether it's references in the book, whether it was part of our marketing launch, whatever they could do to help. And I knew, having worked in payroll, I know how selfless payroll professionals are, but the amount of volunteered efforts to get the word out about Payroll Like a Boss and the support for Tammy and I, it really has been one of the most humbling things in my career.
Lovely. Now, moving on to setting the context for the younger generation in the payroll profession. As authors of Payroll Like a Boss, what particular skills do, aspiring payroll leaders need to develop now that weren't required, let's say, 5 or 10 years ago?
Leadership skills. And I'm seeing it. I'm very excited because I have met a few people who are from much younger generations than mine. And I have met them and I can just see it. I see it in them. I'm proud to say my niece is one of them. She chose to be in payroll and she worked very quickly into a management position. I don't think she's even 30 yet. And I can see by the questions that she asks me, and she'll bounce things off of me. And I'm like, she's got so much potential because she has those leadership skills and she's not afraid to challenge when somebody tells her, "Oh, we have to do it this way." And she's like, "No, we can't do it that way." So I think that those are skills that are really important for the up and coming generation. Of course, the payroll knowledge is important, but I think that business knowledge, the Like a Boss framework, is really important for them to develop as well.
I think primarily to echo off of what Tammy said and add an element, I think building that framework of your function, your responsibility, your job, I treat it like a business, that it's my own. I have this framework that we've described in Payroll Like a Boss. You could build your own for whatever the case might be. Just be a boss of your job. Take ownership of it. Make it your own. Whatever it is you're going to do. If you're listening to this show and you're not in payroll, do whatever that job is as well as you possibly can by taking an immense amount of ownership. I will say, I think the biggest change and where I feel like payroll can become cooler and cooler is that I've spoken with some very large employers that are seeing a shift in the focus of payroll professionals away from processors to more data analysts, more data scientists. And I believe that technology is going to continue to advance to make the actual processing of accurate and timely payrolls easier. But as a result of that, payroll professionals, in my opinion, are going to be focused more on the analyzing of numbers and trends and workforce related analytics that they can then help their employer, help their managers be able to curb costs, to be able to hire more effectively, be able to schedule more in a more appropriate way. I feel like that's where the trending is for payroll professionals and the future of it is. And I do have a large scale client who recently mentioned to me, they have a traditional payroll function where processing happens, and then they have the more data analytics, data scientists. And he said there's about a 22-year gap in age from the people that are sitting in the processing element of the department to the others that are in more of the data analytics and the data science part, and which is an indicator that seems like that less experienced generation is looking for more of the data science stuff and is more gleaned toward that insight, as well as then the more experienced payroll professionals are finding themselves still in that administrative processing element of it.
I have this one question that I ask to all my guests, and I'd like to park it to y'all as well to get your perspective on this. What do you think about AI in payroll?
What's AI? I've never heard of it before.
Yeah, right.
That's one.
I think some of the things that I've seen so far, so we've seen a couple vendor demos on their AI products, and unfortunately, we haven't seen the administrative side of it, or for the payroll professional. But what we've seen is on the employee side. Funny story: I saw a demo, and the example they gave and typed into the AI was, "My paycheck is different this week than it was last week. Why?" And I thought, oh my gosh, in the last month, I have spent so much time answering those kinds of questions for people. And every time I have to answer that question, it takes me a good 20 to 30 minutes to be comparing, last paycheck to this paycheck. And if it's not obvious why it's different, usually it's a difference in taxes or their deductions or whatever. And I thought, I spent 20 to 30 minutes answering those questions, and the AI technology answered it in 30 seconds. So I think that's exciting. I think it will help free up payroll professionals to focus more on some of the strategic responsibilities. But I also am excited to see how AI is going to help with validations and controls and things like that. Right now, I think a lot of payroll professionals are still way too dependent on spreadsheets. I am one of them. For now, what excites me is I've been able to load a spreadsheet into, a Claude or ChatGPT that I have an issue with, where it's like there's a mistake and it's like finding a needle in a haystack, and I've asked and it has found it. So that's what I'm very excited about with payroll, but I'm more excited to see what's to come.
Yeah, I'll go a little bolder. I think ultimately we need to find a way for AI to run payroll, to process payroll, in my opinion. And as a result of that, then the payroll professionals can do the other things that I mentioned before. I just think to myself, we have this cute little sticky note we give out at our booth about turn in your timesheets, don't give me bullsheets, kind of a play on words. And it makes every single person that picks it up laugh, because it is the bane of a payroll professional's existence to chase down Joe in accounting who never gets his timesheet on time, or a manager in some procurement department who's terrible at approving time. And you're always reminding them, we don't need to be doing that. That should somebody else should be able to do that. Some sort of technology should be able to aggregate and get that and enforce that data point. Then payroll professionals can do a few things. They can think strategically about, well, we're going to grow our organization. Here are the countries that are easy for us to do business in, or here are the states we want to look at where we're having more expenses from a payroll perspective. We can help be part of configuring workforce management tools and scheduling applications that can make the process easier for the managers and the people that are. We can drive down costs by analyzing all of our direct labor expenses and dispersing it to managers in a way that they can make informed decisions. All that has nothing to do with paychecks. not
Right.
about depositing money into bank accounts and paying our tax liabilities that we have in a timely manner. I think the technology needs to do that and then give us a chance as true like airline pilots in a cockpit that are just managing the plane landing, not like steering it all the way and making sure that you're doing 9,000 things, that you're just managing the process. And I think that's a major transformation. A lot of payroll professionals are listening to me saying, oh my gosh, I just want to stay in my lane of administration and processing, and that's fine. But I think the future and where we're heading is to where we're spending way more time in the strategic areas. And that's what I pray and hope for.
And I think that I've seen evidence that that is already on its way, right? For AI to process the payroll. One of the things that I'm really excited about is that in a lot of these AI products, you can load all of your policies and your procedures and your controls. You can load all these documents in there, and then the AI technology can look at that and say, oh, okay, this needs to be processed this way because this is what their policy is. So I think that that's a really good first step towards what John is talking about. So yeah, it's pretty exciting actually. And it also gives, we've talked a lot about payroll professionals focusing more on strategic responsibilities, but I also do think that it would be so nice if payroll professionals can spend more time from a human aspect with employees too. And so, again, tucked away in their locked, rooms, closets, wherever they're sitting to process payroll, it would be so nice for them to have more face-to-face time with employees.
Yeah, absolutely, Tammy. That's exactly what we in Niamo actually do. We have ARIA, which stands for Adaptive Real-Time Intelligent Assistant. ARIA is our actually AI payroll agent. Now, you did give an example saying that, people approach payroll professionals or are about their payslip. So in ARIA, you just go type it and then it quickly, gives you your payslip. It even actually breaks down the different categories you have in payslip. So yeah, that's exactly where we are actually in, and exciting times to come on AI. I'd also like to spend a few minutes on a solution we've been getting our hands dirty extensively at Niamo, which is the GPCC. It's actually Global Payroll Capability Center, as in, giving payroll to the GCC community. So at its core, it's built on a very simple idea. Payroll is no longer just a country-by-country process, but as organizations grow globally, they also need a way to bring governance, visibility control, and even expertise together, right? So payroll can operate as a unified enterprise capability rather than a collection of disconnected local activities. And that leads to actually a very interesting trend we're seeing in the broader GCC landscape. A recent NASSCOM research suggests that GCC growth is no longer being driven primarily by cost arbitrage, because it was cost arbitrage for quite a number of years. And it is becoming a strategic shift, okay? India has become the global epicenter for GCCs, with nearly 2/3 of these centers backed by the US organization. And the US still accounts for roughly 63% of GCC parent organizations, even slowly moving to the continental Europe, the UK, and many other countries. So when you look at that evolution, what does it tell you about the changing role of shared services or payroll organizations and capability centers in global enterprises?
So I'm a big fan of centers of excellence. I think that having one center of excellence where you have somebody with all the skills and experience and knowledge needed, because we know that things in payroll overlap a lot. It's very interesting because I was reading up. Actually, I get a newsletter from Niamo, and that was the first time I had heard about it. And I remember sending it to our consulting director saying, we need to learn a little bit more about this. I'm very curious about this. it reminds me, the environment that I came from before coming to Willery was a shared services environment. And to me, it was the best way for payroll because we had payroll represented, we had benefits administration represented, we had our HR technology support, we had a call center for the employee, and we were all there together so that, because everything we did touched payroll. And so I am a big fan of that model. And I will admit, I need to learn a little bit more. But I am very curious about it and excited to learn a little bit more about it because I think that, a true payroll center of excellence is, in my opinion, the best way.
And you, John?
I know we've talked about this quite a bit, and it's having worked in the industry now for 30 years, the globalization and the idea of how to manage a global workforce has been a challenge for all 30 years that I've been in this industry. And I think of it in this very simple, myopic kind of personal lens. In the state of Ohio, there are hundreds of different tax jurisdictions. Processing payroll in the state of Ohio is more difficult than other states, just simply by that tax jurisdiction for on the local level. And I think to myself, this is just a small little state in this gigantic, region of the U.S. and then in the global platform. And I think to myself that I understand why it's so difficult for employers and technology companies and service providers like yours to be able to find a way to make all that work in a seamless, systematic manner, because it is so diversely different. Just in the state of Ohio, it's different. And imagine going to other countries, other regions, other part of the world. You have time differences, you've got language barriers, you got all these nuances of regulatory requirements. And I feel like if somebody can figure this out, they're going to make a lot of money and they're going to make a lot of people very happy, because it is a challenge. It's a drawback. It's something that's overly complicated. And if you add global payroll into a payroll professional's responsibility, it takes a master class to be able to figure out how to do that, because it is so different how you pay someone in France versus Pakistan, in areas of the Middle East, or in the United States, or in Russia. There's just so
Canada
much to it. Canada, it's always so different. And if your organization can find a way to make it easier, if you can find a way to be able to make that consolidation and simplification of it in that shared service, that center of excellence environment, I'm all for it. And whatever way I can support it, I'd be there 1,000%.
And I think what's really important there is that, and I think you did touch on it, Nancy, is it's important, though, to have the governance. So we definitely still need people who understand the different tax regulations, the different wage and hour regulations in all the countries to govern it. But that is allowing them the time to stay on top of changes and to, again, work on some of the strategic analysis. Like, we're doing payroll in X company or X country. Is that causing a problem for us? Here in the United States, I don't know if you've heard this before, but there's a joke. Nobody wants to have any employees in California because California payroll is something else. And so I think that having those people focus on those types of responsibilities is really important, and just have the system do the rest, right?
Absolutely. Okay. Before we conclude and before I let you go, where do people find the book, and where's the best place to follow what you're both doing next?
Well, the book is available in both paperback and ebook on Amazon. An audiobook is going to be released sometime in August, early August, I believe. And I can be found, the best place to find me is on LinkedIn, or I do give people my email address. It's very simple. It's just Tammy@willery.com. I'm happy to answer people's questions anytime.
Same here, John at Willery.com, JOHN at WILLORY.com. I also share my journey on LinkedIn, a couple posts a day, just where I'm traveling around and inspiration about making work better, transforming how people feel through the power of HR and payroll. And super excited about the chance that we were given here, Nancy. Love your questions, love your thoughtfulness, appreciate your interest in the book. We're so thankful. And if there's anything we can do to support you or others that are listening, please reach out to Tammy or I. The best way that we can help and support you, we'll do that.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. It's indeed a pleasure talking to both of you all. I personally love this conversation, and that too around a book. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Looking forward.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you, Tammy. Have a rest of your day. Thank you for joining us on the Payroll Powerlist by Niyamu. It's been a pleasure speaking with Tammy and John and exploring the stories, lessons, and leadership principles behind the book Payroll Like a Boss. This conversation reminds us that great payroll leadership is about more than processes and compliance. It's also about courage, influence, continuous learning, and the willingness to lead with confidence in an ever-changing world. So if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow, share, and stay connected as we continue bringing your conversations with the people shaping the future of payroll and workforce transformation. Until next time, this is Nancy signing off.